So I did jump ahead and showed you a few extra tools there. Now I'm going to open some other folders here and maybe grab a few more different clips and things like that and put them on. Then I'll show you the razor tool, what that does, and the pen tool. Okay. Now these ones I recorded some little bits at this music concert thing. It wasn't very good, so this is pretty well all garbage footage. Okay, here we go. And I don't know how much of this I actually want to take. There was a little bit of a nice concert going on there. That's actually about 12 seconds long, so I'll just take a little bit of it there till about here. And then I think what I'd like to do is just stick it at the end of this. And once again, you can just click and drag, but I find it much easier to actually use these tools right here. Okay, and I'll just kind of insert it there. See, it's not a very big one right here. And I'm decided I'm going to take a little bit of the fire out. I think there's some point where my hand goes in there and I just want to get rid of that thing. Now, I could just kind of roll this over, but you also want to know how to cut them. So it's actually right here. You have your razor tool. You just have to hit C. And, you know, it's kind of like slicing tomatoes. It's quite easy. And if you have the link button click there, then it will actually, there you go. I'll just slice this thing up. It'll put the razor mark through both of them. And once you've cut them with the razor, these are all individual. Now these are individual little clips, and you can do different things with them. And that's one reason to actually cut it, is if you want to treat one a little bit differently. Okay, so this one here, this little clip, I think what I want to do is I just want to make it actually go backwards. Now, there's and this one right here, I'm going to make go a lot slower. Maybe we'll start with that. Now, you have up here in clip, you have speed and duration. Now, it's really good with this one to look at the key shortcut, which is Command R, and that's the one that I generally use for that. Okay, so once you click with this, you'll get speed and duration there. And let's say you're wanting to stretch somebody's speech out a little bit, but you don't want to make the voice deeper. You can maintain the audio pitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that, oh, I don't know, 60%, so it'll go a little bit slower. There you see. Now this other one here, and it's good to put your cursor on so you can see what you're doing. This other one here, I just want it to go backwards. So I'll do Command R, and I'll just do reverse speed. And then you go OK. So now you're going to see the fire just kind of, except with the fire, you won't really be able to see it go forwards or backwards. I think it'll look kind of the same. Well, there you can go. You can see it kind of reverses right there. Now, what I might want to do with this one is change the speed, have it going forwards and backwards so you have a little bit of a dancing fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it out of here and put it into kind of a clear area. And sometimes what you might want to do actually is even create a new sequence where this here is one sequence. You can create a new sequence to actually work on something a little bit more intently. So I think that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm just going to do a new sequence. And you just have to click return, and there you have this new sequence. And you can actually change the name of the sequence. It comes up down here, is I'll call it test. There we go. So I can go back here and I can copy and paste it from here. Now again, I use the key commands. It would be edit, Copy is Command C, and that's a good one to know. If you're an Apple user, you probably know that. So I'll just do Command C and go to here and do Command V, and then I get the fire. Now I want to actually, this thing is reversed and I just want it to dance a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually speed it up and keep reversing and make it go forwards and backwards. So I'm going to make the speed go 900%. So it makes it a lot shorter. Okay, now I'm going to copy and paste it. And this one, what I'm going to do is then reverse the reverse speeder, put it back to normal again. So now I have these two. And what I could do is I could select both using Shift here. And I'll copy and paste them. I'll go copy, paste, paste, paste. So now you'll be able to watch this fire kind of dancing backwards and forwards. Well, you can't really see it because fire kind of looks the same. So I'll get rid of that there. Okay, now I'm going to go back to here again. And I'm going to start adding a few more little files, and I'm going to overlay some of them. Okay, so what I should do is I should get one photograph and put it right here. Let's say of the waterfall, I'm just going to drop this right onto. There's one other way you can do it, is just actually you can click on it and just press comma, and it should show up. Oh, let me get the cursor in the right place here. Okay. I'll click on this again and just press comma, and now it looks like it didn't really show up. And perhaps I'll just I'll put one more in there. Okay, you can barely see them. And that's because they're not very long, and this is quite long itself. They're just a tiny little mark right there. So this is where you really need to zoom in there, and you can see these two here now. They're both very short. So I want to actually expand them a bit. I'll just drag that one over there so it's a little bit closer. And I'll expand them. And so, of course, one way of expanding them is actually, if you zoom right in, you can actually just take your key and just drag it over like that. And that will actually make it longer. Or, again, you can click on it. Double click, you can see it here. Or you just click Command R, and this comes up. And you can change the length of it. So in this case, I want to make it 9 seconds. Okay. Now with both of these, what you've seen is, you'll see here my videos fit and here it doesn't, because this is actually a much bigger file. So with this one, I'm going to now move into the effect controls, and very specifically motion controls, so that you can see if something doesn't quite fit, how you can change it. So you need to click on it, and then you go here to effect controls, and up here you see motion. There you see motion right there. And here is scale. And with scale, you can actually just change it so that it fits. Now, it's not going to fit exactly because this is actually a different sort of, it's a slightly different format. Now, you can actually just drag right across this number here, just click and drag, or you can open this up and use the toggle switch there. So there it's at 100%, and you can just kind of shrink it to fit. So that's where it fits right there, and it's 33.6%. You could get it more exact. Now, if you actually want to make this one exactly the same size, it's pretty easy to do. You just click on here and you copy it. And then you can click onto this one. You don't really even have to look at it. And you can click onto there and paste, and it will be the same size, I bet. There you go. So now it fits. Okay, so let's go back into here, and this is where I'm going to show you the pen tool. so you can learn a little bit how to use the pen tool. Now you'll see up here there's a little kind of another little space where you can work in, and this is where you can actually affect the controls themselves a little bit. Okay, so you actually want to make something called keyframes, and the way you would make a keyframe is to press this, and it's a little bit like using the pen tool on the timeline. So this is what it does is it marks this particular frame. Now you could move this over, and it's important if you want to actually expand and contract something, you could move this over to the beginning of the file, and just with this you could change the number here. You could either just type it in, something you could do 2, and you'll see it's actually very quite small. And if you want it to be bigger again, you can just drag it larger once more, but we'll make it a little bit smaller. And when you see this little diamond here highlighted, that means you're right actually on the keyframe. And then we're going to move this a little bit over there, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller here again. And as soon as you actually change that, it'll automatically put a keyframe in. Now, what I'm going to do is also show you position, and I'll show you rotation. Okay, so now you can just click actually on this motion. With position, you would actually need to type in the numbers, change the numbers. But right here, you could just click on this, and you'll see that the screen gets this blue frame around. It means you can move it around. So you can move it to here. Let's say just to there. Now, I didn't put in a keyframe in position, so it's going to be in the same position everywhere. The size will change, but the position will be the same. So if you want to change the size of it, you would need to put the keyframe in, and now you could move it. And let's say you move it to here. Okay, and you'll see as you slide this along, it'll actually both move and shrink. Okay. One more thing while I'm at this, I might as well show you rotation. I'll just close that. You can kind of guess what rotation will do. So once more, we're just going to put a keyframe in there. And you could just kind of move it to one spot, and you can either dial it around here like this. It's one way of doing it, or you can actually just type in a number, and you'll see it on the keyframe, it puts it there. Now, if you want it to get back to 0 again at the end here, you can just type in 0, and it gets back to normal. Okay, so now we've got this image is just going to spin around. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to layer things and actually use the opacity. So I'm just going to pop this one on top of that. And whichever one is on the top is actually going to be the one that you see. So this is the top one here. That's this image right there. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so it totally covers the screen there. So I'll just expand it once again. And now I want to work with the opacity. Now there's two ways of doing it with opacity. You can actually just go into the blend mode itself, and if it's normal, it'll just be opaque, but you could, let's say, do something like overlay, and you'll kind of be able to see through it. But I'd rather do it with or you could lighten it. It takes the lightest of each, but we'll put it back to normal again. There you go, and we'll play with opacity here. And so you could actually just reduce the opacity all the way down to 0 or all the way back up to 100. So it's got that keyframe there now, and I'm just going to move this over to here. It's 100 there, and maybe I'll leave that as 100 there. And right in between, I'm going to make it go to 0, or pretty close to it, and then make it go to 0 here. And then at the end, I'll make it go up to 100. Okay, now we can actually watch it. Okay, there we go, and that's using photographs. Okay, I'm going to do one last little thing here, and that's to show you a little bit about the timeline and use, sorry, the sound track, and using a little bit of the pen tool here, and that's just to eliminate some sound or to quiet some sound. So I'm going to just take a little bit, I'm going to take a little bit of this video here, and I've already marked some of it out. So I'm just going to drag this onto the timeline and bring this here and expand it a little bit. And there's some sound in the background that I don't like, so I want to kind of quiet it. Okay, now you just have to expand this a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drag this up so I get a little bit more room here for the sound. And then you can see I can kind of drag this out. And here you can actually look at the, where the louder parts are. I want to get rid of that and kind of get rid of that swearing and stuff like that. So this is where I get my pen tool. It's very easy to use. You actually use the pen tool to kind of make little keyframes on there. So you can click there, you make a keyframe, click there, make a keyframe, click there, make a keyframe, maybe there, make a keyframe. And then in between, I can actually drag it down like this. It's very physical, the way you'd actually manipulate these. And you can move them around. You can actually move these little keyframes around if you like there. And you can actually make it louder here. I could make it louder there, and we'll see what it sounds like. Now, another thing that if you want, what you can do with the timeline is you can very, very easily layer sounds. I have no idea what this will be like. That's all kind of fire sounds. And I might want the fire sounds just to go up so I can use my pen tool to raise them here. And there's that little bit of music there. Oh, where's that music? Maybe raise that one, and I'm going to unlink them here. Because what I want to do is I want to take this music and overlay it over top the others. So I'm just going to take this, copy, and paste it. So I'll go copy, paste, 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 paste. And then I'm just going to drag it under here so I get that same sound over and over again. And then I just might do it again here. And maybe some of these I'll actually This one I might make a little bit longer. Drag that under there. Drag a few more under there, and then you're going to get kind of a strange layering there. Okay. Now, let's just bring this back here. That's how you can actually manipulate time. I haven't done much with it, but I just overlaid it a little bit. Okay, that's enough of that. Now, let's say I just want to export a little bit of it. I'm going to only export a tiny bit because I don't really want to spend too much time in this here. So I'm just going to mark in and mark out. That's I and O. And then when I